I think Monday's episode of General Hospital is going to hit Maxie harder than she ever expected. I was wondering how she'd even process this, seeing Nathan alive after believing he was gone for 8 years. To me, that moment at his grave has to be surreal. She buried him, mourned him, and built a life thinking he was gone forever. And now, bam, he's standing there in the flesh. I didn't realize just how awkward it would be because neither Maxie nor Nathan really knows what to say. Almost a decade has passed, and everything has changed. Nathan has no memory of those years, but Maxie has Spinelli and 2 kids more than she had when Nathan died. When Nathan asks where they stand, I feel her confusion. She loves Spinelli, yes, but does that love measure up to what she had with Nathan? Does she even feel that same spark anymore? Spinelli seems nervous too. He tells Lulu he isn't ready to fight for Maxie just yet. I kind of get it. This is messy, emotional, and complicated in a way only GH can pull off. Meanwhile, things are heating up elsewhere. Michael's patience finally snaps after finding out Chase was messing with his keys. He comes home, sees Chase in the kitchen, and just, bam, hits him right in front of a bewildered Brooklyn. I was like, yep, that's classic Michael. Don't mess with his family. Back at the PCPD, Justine seems cautious. She's not fully convinced Chase is their guy, and she tells Dante they need to tread lightly. It's interesting because, to me, this feels like the calm before a bigger storm. Over at Willow's, it looks like she's thinking she's in control, but Wiley has other ideas. He doesn't like being in the house with Uncle Drew, and Willow's now stuck between keeping Drew there or moving him to a long-term care facility where he still has to take his meds. It's a moral dilemma, but also very human. I think a lot of viewers will relate to her struggle. And then there's Rick with news for Alexis about the Drew shooting case. Alexis already knows Willow's role, so I'm curious about what Rick has up his sleeve. It seems like this could shake things up even further. I feel like Monday's episode is setting the stage for some massive emotional reveals. Seeing Nathan alive is one thing, but what Maxie decides about her heart and her life, that's going to be the real story. Friday, February 20th, 2026. Remembering Luke Spencer in Port Charles I, think today's episode really hit the heartstrings. The citizens of Port Charles are pausing to remember the late Luke Spencer, and the way each character reflects on him shows just how much he shaped their lives. Earlier, Maxie faced Nathan at his grave. Rick finally discovered who planted the key, and Willow was fuming when Drew tried to send a message. But today, the story turns inward, toward family, memory, and grief. At home, Lulu stumbles upon a picture of Luke tucked under a bookshelf. Seeing it upsets her, and she runs straight to the Quartermain estate to find Tracy. She needs comfort, but also someone who understands why this hit her so hard. She shows Tracy the photo, and Tracy realizes Lulu never really got to grieve her father properly. "You and I are going to honor your dad," Tracy promises, and I couldn't help but feel that this was more than just words. It's a mission, a shared act of remembering. They head to church first, sitting in a quiet pew. Lulu recalls Luke joking about bursting into flames if he ever stepped inside. They both sense that this solemn, sacred place isn't right for honoring him. Tracy even blows out a candle on the way out, a symbolic gesture of leaving the traditional behind. Lulu half jokes about maybe going to a random casino, and Tracy flashes back to the time Luke tricked her into marrying him while drunk. That mischievous side sparks an idea. Soon, they're at the Brown Dog, which hasn't opened yet. Tracy pays off the bartender, and they claim the place for themselves. Setting the bottles along the bar, they start drinking. Tracy reflects on Luke as a true renegade, someone who refused to stop, even after surviving 3 heart attacks. But they quickly realize that drowning in liquor isn't the way to honor him. Luke had his own struggles with drinking after all. Meanwhile, Laura has her own moment of reflection. Liz drops by her office to share that Aiden finally passed his driver's test, and they chat about his love of cars. Laura assumes he inherited that adventurous spirit from Luke. Later, she heads to the church alone, thinking about the day she and Luke named Lulu with Lucky's help. She remembers the thrill, the unpredictability, the way they never lived boring lives. Luke was a force of nature, a man who changed the world simply by being himself. And though it feels impossible to accept that he's gone, Laura sees him everywhere, in their children, in every daring choice she makes. She can feel his presence, hear him calling her angel. It gives her the strength to move forward, to live with the love they shared, because what they had never really ended. It transformed, bound by a love that transcends time and loss. "Thank you for the love of a lifetime," she whispers, and you can't help but feel the weight of that sentiment. Meanwhile, Sunny stops by Carly's to pick up Donna's lunchbox. They share a quiet moment over coffee, and he notices a poker chip he found in an old box. It reminds him of Luke, and suddenly memories flood back, like the first time Luke told him to stay away from his family. From that moment, Sunny could never have guessed they'd end up like brothers. It's a day of memories, reflections, and little acts of honoring a man who left an indelible mark on every life he touched. Luke Spencer's legacy isn't just in the stories told, it's alive in the hearts of everyone who knew him. Carly jokes that her mom thought Luke hung the moon, but her? Not so much. Later, Laura stops by Bobby's for coffee and finds Carly there. They talk about Luke and wonder why he's missing today of all days. Laura thanks Carly for keeping the place running. Carly admits she does it for her mom and for Luke. A flashback hits. Laura remembers the moment she asked Luke to marry her. A tear slips down her cheek as she notices a text from Lulu. Outside, Carly gazes up at the sky, thinking about all the times she and Luke joked about revenge. In her bag, she finds a poker chip, a little token of their complicated love. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Liz smiles at a text and tells a nurse she's heading out early. Sunny wanders into the Brown Dog and finds Tracy and Lulu still at it, drinking in Luke's honor. Lulu insists he join them to celebrate his memory. They laugh, remembering how Luke always got away with his schemes. Charm was his secret weapon. Laura arrives, sensing that Luke would feel perfectly at home among his friends and family. Over drinks, they reminisce about how he always mixed love with a little bit of mischief. Laura flashes back to their wedding, the joy and chaos of it all. Carly joins them after a text from Sunny. She's puzzled about the poker chip she found. Sunny swears he didn't give it to her. Soon, Liz arrives, eager to be part of the memories. They talk, laugh, and share their own unique ways of mourning Luke. Together, they head to the pier, each placing a lantern on the water. Laura tells Carly that goodbyes aren't really how Luke works. It's always just, "See you later." Memories of him are never far away. Once the lanterns are afloat, they toast with straight whiskey, honoring Luke in a way that feels just right. For Lulu, the moment is bittersweet. She thanks Tracy and watches the mist, imagining Luke walking away with that mischievous smile she knew so well. "See you later, Dad," she whispers. Sunny walks away quietly, recalling his own farewell. Liz goes home, her mind flashing back to simpler times, giving Luke brownies. Laura returns to her office, notices a card for Aiden from her secretary, and is pulled into memories of Luke praising her, telling her how magnificent she was. At Bobby's, Carly remembers the fights with Luke and how, in the end, he always reminded her that family mattered most. Tracy, sitting by the fire with her tea, recalls Luke telling her they were a perfect match. Sobbing, she admits she'd do it all over again. At home, Lulu places Luke's photo on the mantle, remembering how much he loved her. Holding that poker chip, she whispers a quiet thank you, a small gesture to keep him close. I've been thinking about Willow Kane's situation on General Hospital, and honestly, I'm wondering how long she can keep Drew Kane a prisoner in his own home. I mean, with her life spinning in a new whirlwind, it seems almost inevitable that something's going to slip. On the February 19th episode, Willow was finally reunited with her kids, and to me, it feels like they're going to take center stage in her priorities, as they should. But that also makes me think, is Willow going to get sloppy and miss one of Drew's drug doses? My gut says, definitely maybe. The tension here is palpable, and I don't see her juggling everything flawlessly for long. Adding more fuel to the fire, in the February 18th episode, Nina Reeves nudged Willow toward taking Drew's congressional seat. I'm curious, Will Willow entertain that thought? I feel like she might. She's clearly in a power-hungry streak right now, and a prestigious position like that could be very appealing to her ambitious side. Still, if Willow wants to stay out of jail, she has to keep Drew drugged and immobile. She's already in hot water. She can't be tried again for shooting him, but admitting she orchestrated his stroke and is holding him captive? That's risky, even for Willow. Nina suggested putting Drew in a long-term facility, but honestly, how could Willow realistically keep him powerless there? She's facing a lot of tough choices. She could off him, but come on, that's a mess waiting to happen. If she puts him in a facility, maybe she could pay someone to keep him quiet, but there's always room for error. And then there's the big temptation, taking Drew's congressional seat, moving to DC with the kids, and Drew. But would Michael Corinthos ever agree to that? I'm not so sure. To me, Willow's future looks bright in some ways, but murky in so many others. I think what's most exciting is seeing how she plays her hand. Will she go for the power grab and end up making an epic blunder? It feels like a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. The drama is real, and for GH fans, these next moves for Willow are going to be must-watch television. On the February 20th, 2026 episode of General Hospital, the show paused the usual drama of Maxie's return and Willow's hold on Drew to deliver a deeply moving tribute to the late Anthony Geary's iconic Luke Spencer. I was struck by how beautifully the episode handled grief and memory. When Lulu discovered an old photo of her father, the reality of his death hit her all over again. For Tracy, the pain ran even deeper. She never had a chance to properly mourn while in a coma when Luke passed. To me, it was clear her stepmonster instincts had a softer side here, knowing exactly how to honor Luke's memory. Tracy orchestrated a quiet evening at the Brown Dog, paying off a bartender named Luke to give them the bar to themselves. It was intimate and thoughtful, a simple setting where they could drink and remember the man who had shaped their lives. Meanwhile, a poker chip Sonny stumbled upon sparked a flood of memories for him and Carly, sending them down a nostalgic path I think any longtime fan could relate to. Laura's moment in the chapel felt like the emotional heart of the tribute. Watching her relive every cherished memory, everything from Lucky and Lulu's milestones to the Triple L diner scenes, was powerful, especially with the original GH theme, Faces of the Heart by Dave Koz, playing softly in the background. I couldn't help but feel her connection to Luke in every word and gesture. Her tribute was simple yet perfect. "Thank you for the dance," she said, referencing their unforgettable moment at Wyndham's. "Thank you for the adventure, and thank you for the love of a lifetime." To me, it wasn't just Laura speaking. It echoed Francis's real-life words about the man who brought Luke to life. The episode ended with a stunning visual. Lulu, Laura, Tracy, Sonny, Carly, and Elizabeth sending lanterns into the river, a moment of quiet reflection and unity. As the lanterns drifted into the fog, Lulu caught a glimpse of her father in the distance. I think that was a gentle reminder that Luke and Anthony Geary's legacy will always be part of General Hospital. This tribute is just the beginning. Later this year, the show will honor Tristan Rogers and Denise Alexander, who also passed in 2025. It feels like GH is creating a space not only to mourn, but to celebrate the lives of those who shaped its story. And as a fan, I can't wait to see how they continue this heartfelt series of remembrances. I've been thinking about the latest twists on General Hospital, and it seems like Ross Cullum might be gearing up to make Jason Morgan vanish. To me, this could be one of those game-changing storylines that leaves fans on edge. Meanwhile, Britt Westbourne is walking a dangerous line with her secret rendezvous. Will she face the fallout for keeping her affair under wraps? I'm not entirely sure, but given the stakes, consequences seem almost inevitable. Jason, as always, is determined. He's focused on getting a vial of Britt's medication to replicate it, his way of ensuring her freedom once and for all. But it's not going to be easy. Britt finds herself cornered by Cullum and Jen Sidwell, and while Jason refuses to accept defeat, Britt has already received a stark warning. Keeping Jason close comes with serious repercussions. Cullum didn't mince words. If Britt doesn't remove Jason from her life, he'll take matters into his own hands. And honestly, I think it's only a matter of time before he acts on that threat. On top of that, Britt and Jason are plotting a sneaky Valentine's Day meeting. To me, it sounds romantic, but knowing GH, sneaky usually leads straight to disaster. Britt's anxiety about being followed, possibly by Cullum's spies, is totally justified, and it's making me worry for them. Jason could also run into trouble if he tries to snag a dose of Britt's medication from Windermere and gets caught. And with Cullum always scheming, Britt's careless chatter might have already tipped him off to how much Jason knows. Jason has pieced together Cullum's role in the hits on Sonny Corinthos, so I wouldn't be surprised if Cullum sees him as a serious threat, possibly one that needs to be eliminated. With Steve Burton on hiatus and having filmed his last episode for now, the question of Jason's fate is even more pressing. Could Cullum make him disappear entirely? Maybe he'll frame it as Jason leaving to investigate the Cesar Faison mystery for Anna Devane. Or perhaps Jason will be held captive somewhere secret until his return in the summer. Windermere seems unlikely. Cullum wouldn't risk Britt discovering him there. Cullum wants Britt focused in the lab, completing her project without interruptions. But if the writers don't take the captivity route, we could see a plot where Jake Weber is abducted off-screen, pushing Jason to go on a dangerous search mission. Either way, I feel like Cullum has a plan to make Jason vanish from Port Charles, whether through captivity or some elaborate wild goose chase. He's determined, and he's not someone you mess with. General Hospital spoilers are pointing to Cullum continuing to cement himself as a major, menacing villain. For fans like me, the suspense just keeps building, and I can't wait to see what happens next. General Hospital spoilers, February 23rd, Nathan, Maxie, and Cemetery Secrets. I think Monday's episode of General Hospital is setting up some seriously tense moments. Nathan West shows up with questions for Maxie Jones, and honestly, you can feel the weight of their past hovering over every word. Their meeting near what was supposed to be Nathan's grave is loaded with emotion and legal complications. Nathan, who everyone thought was dead, asks Maxie, "What does that mean for you and me?" To me, it seems like he's hoping for some clarity about their relationship, though she may be signaling that she's moved on with Damian Spinelli. Then again, maybe they're just hashing out the legal side of things since the grave was exhumed and there was no body in the coffin. Legally, they might still be married, which makes this conversation even more fraught. Meanwhile, Spinelli is downcast, confiding in Lulu Spencer. He admits he's not willing to fight for Maxie if she's truly set on Nathan. He keeps calling Nathan the love of her life, which to me is both heartbreaking and hilarious. He's basically waving a white flag while still carrying a torch. Lulu looks concerned, though secretly she has feelings for Nathan herself, so you can imagine the awkwardness. Maxie stepping away for a walk only ramps up Spinelli's anxiety. Though judging by Nathan and Maxie's cemetery chat, maybe he doesn't have as much to worry about as he thinks. On another front, Wiley Corinthos is not thrilled about being at Drew Kane's house with his mom, Willow Kane. Even in his pajamas, you can see he's uncomfortable. Maybe it's residual hurt from Drew's earlier comments about Michael Corinthos not wanting him, though Michael made sure to clear that up later. Willow's plans to smooth everything over? Not going quite as she envisioned. Elsewhere, Jocelyn Jax is in a tense exchange that seems to be about Windermere's secret projects. She tells the other person, "Consider it dropped." But the tone? Definitely annoyed. She's clearly frustrated by being told to step back, but you get the sense she won't be silenced easily. And of course, Rick Lansing has news for Alexis Davis. He's involved in Drew's attempted murder case, stepping in for Michael when Diane Miller couldn't. Rick might be briefing Alexis about the key Willow left at Drew's house, found by Harrison Chase and Wiley, before it ever reaches court. There's that classic GH tension where everyone knows more than they're letting on. Could Alexis also pick up on Drew's stress signals, like his attempted SOS in Morse code, or spill what she knows from Kai Taylor and Trina Robinson? Honestly, it's all these intertwined secrets, legal twists, and emotional showdowns that make General Hospital such a roller coaster. I didn't realize just how much drama could fit into one day in Port Charles, but apparently, Monday's episode is proof. General Hospital star Alexa Havens took on a deeply emotional role in the standalone tribute episode honoring the late Anthony Geary, who passed away in December. For Havens, stepping into this episode was both thrilling and daunting, especially because she wasn't stepping into a story she had lived alongside Geary. When Havens learned that Lulu would be at the center of the tribute, fear set in. She had never worked with Geary, never shared that on-screen history with him, and suddenly she was expected to carry a story so tied to his legacy. I was so nervous and scared because I'm not the Lulu that worked with him and has all that beautiful history with him, Havens admitted to Soap Opera Digest. The pressure of honoring both Geary and the script felt insane, and she admitted putting immense expectations on herself. Thankfully, her husband, All My Children alum Justin Bruning, helped ground her. Once Havens refocused, she channeled every ounce of emotion into Lulu's grief. Around her, the cast and crew were navigating their own raw feelings over losing Geary. Legends like Maurice Benard, Jane Elliott, Jeannie Francis, Rebecca Herbst, and Laura Wright brought their genuine heartbreak to the screen, making the episode an authentic, shared moment of mourning. It had only been a few months since Geary's passing, and the grief of actors like Francis, Elliott, and Benard was still fresh. Watching her colleagues' sorrow inspired Havens to push even harder in her performance, especially in scenes with those who had known Geary best. She recalled asking Elliott for another take, saying, "I just want to honor your friend." Backstage, Havens watched Geary's final episode as Luke, where he famously walked off into the mist on the pier, a moment that left her unexpectedly moved. "I was just so moved by his brilliance, his simplicity, his delivery. And that's me not knowing this gentleman," she reflected. In the end, Havens feels proud of the episode and the care taken to honor Geary's memory. The tribute, handled with sensitivity given the sudden loss, stands as a heartfelt tip of the hat to both the legendary actor and the iconic character he brought to life.